everybody, Jeff Antoniuk here from Jazzwire. Welcome to Guided Listening this week. So we're going to jump into a really iconic recording, Miles Davis and his quintet playing Round Midnight, 1957, off the album of the same name. The tune is called Round About Midnight, but I've always called it Round Midnight, but apparently the about is in there. It's a Monk tune, of course, but Miles, like he did with so many songs, made it much more famous than, it had been to that point due to Monk. So, Miles kind of put this tune on the map. It has a cool intro and it has a cool ending. And I've heard that Dizzy Gillespie takes credit for, the intro and the ending, although I've seen and heard Monk play, in Monk's, hand fake book, kind of his book, we see that intro there. So I'm not actually clear on the intro and ending. So I'd love for some of you to fill us in on what's what. This arrangement is really cool. There's an interlude kind of in the middle, and that's, I think, coming from Miles and his first great quintet. And so when we talk about Miles's bands, there are all these periods, right? It's like talking about Picasso and his periods. So the quintet, we had Miles, we had John Coltrane on tenor saxophone, Red Garland on piano, Paul Chambers on bass, Philly Joe Jones on drums. So that's the group we're listening here to today. By the way, I want to let you know that coming up this January 2025, we have the Jazzwire Online Winter Summit. It's 3 days of playing, of studying, of discussing. It's a really, really powerful thing. We've been doing this for 6 years, and we do it numerous times through the years, but the big event online is always the Winter Summit, January 29 through February 2nd. It's across a weekend, 3 days. It's really powerful. It really works. I know it's hard to imagine how we do jazz and playing together online, but it's not a big deal. It's not a big technological lift for you. And we have people that come back year after year after year that do it. For one, because of the convenience. There's no hotels and planes and crappy coffee that you have to deal with. You can make your own coffee. Crappy if you want. But yeah, you get the idea. So sign up. We have 24 spots. I think about a quarter of them are already gone. So jump on it. All right, let's get listening to this tune. The one thing I'll say is, any of you that have played Thelonious Monk know that his songs are so Monk-like that there's sort of not a lot of room for our personality. Our, meaning me, meaning whoever you are, Bill Evans, whoever, I'm trying to think of people with, these important personal styles, but to play a Monk tune, just to play the melody the way it's written is such a strong stylistic thing that a lot of great, great, great players, we sort of lose ourselves in a Monk tune, which I think is one of the reasons they're fun to play and challenging to play. But his style is so central to those tunes that it's easy for us to lose ours. Okay, I'm talking about at a super high world-class artist level. So that's a thing. For a more novice intermediate player, Jazzwire kind of person, we're just trying to navigate these tunes, right? Now, Round Midnight is, I think it's a little different than many of Monk's tunes in that there's a little more room somehow for personality. When we play Bemsha Swing, when we play Played Twice, when we play 4-in-1, when we, all those great Monk tunes, we're just kind of taken to that Monk zone for better or worse. This song seems to allow interpretation a little better. And man, well, Miles was all about the interpretation. Let's jump in and hear what Miles does to this tune. This is Miles Davis, Quintet, 1957, Round Midnight. And so this is that intro we're talking about. Miles, shockingly, not really playing the melody. Coltrane playing a nice harmony part behind, right? And we have the rhythm section playing a traditional ballad feel. And that cool rhythmic thing that's not part of the original Monk versions. So there's our melody, right? And already Miles is leaving chunks of it out. Okay, there we go, that phrase. Changes the melody there. gets that third iconic sort of arpeggio shape. So it's kind of interesting, this being the iconic, most famous version of this tune. Miles, in a sense, doesn't solo. Like, he's playing the melody here, but he's already left the melody. He's not playing the melody. So we're already into a Miles Davis solo at this point, in a sense. But we hear Coltrane playing those long notes in the background, like he's accompanying the melody. There we have an element of the melody back. So Miles is really riding the rail between, is he playing the melody, and here he is, and is he soloing? Here's the bridge of the tune. Not the melody. Not the melody. We hear a little more energy in the bass and the drums, right? So now we're into a quarter note feel. There's a lot more bounce to it. Oh, and did you feel that shift back to single time? The first four of the bridge had an implied double time feel and a great shift back. Here's a moment where the chord changes that Miles's group used are not what Monk used. So they really, really interpreted this tune a lot. So we're still in the first chorus, by the way, right? At this tempo, what is that? It's 60, maybe slower. So we're coming to the end of the melody, and Miles kind of reins it in with using the melody. Now this great interlude. Takes the Harmon mute out. I didn't talk about the Harmon mute. All right, so now we have Train comes in paraphrasing the melody right there. Still playing the melody. And now we have Philly Joe on sticks. It's still a ballad feel, but we're hearing quarter notes in the bass. We were hearing half notes before, and there's a bounce. The fills that Paul Chambers is putting on those quarter notes gives it, you know, a cool syncopated kick. Pedal tones in the bass. Pedal tone being a repeated note under the chords. So it's interesting, in Coltrane solo, we're still hearing elements of the melody, which is really nice. So this is just the second chorus of the tune. We're halfway through the second chorus. That's the second A. Here's the bridge, that different part of the composition. You hear that? Da-dang, 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 da-dang. So it's a ballad, but it has more energy and an implied double time. This is a great feel for novice, amateur, semi-pro people to work on. This implied double time, but not double time feel. In between sort of feel. These descending 2-5 chords are cool. And it's interesting as a player to hear Coltrane playing through those changes as opposed to kind of playing motivic things through there, which is a good solution to those sort of chords. He doesn't take the obvious solution. So we're coming up to the end of the second chorus. We had sort of the melody in, and now we had a chorus of Coltrane solo. So now what happens here? Suspend the time. Okay, so now we're in the coda. We're taking an ending. No more of the tune. We've gone back. Did you feel the feel shift back to this ballad feel? Well, it's because the bass is playing half notes. 2, 3, 4. Back to brushes. And then this great ending here. Really cool, compelling chord to end on too, right? interesting. The song it's a minor, it really has that minor vibe, yet the A sections of the songs, including the end of the song, end in major. So it starts in minor, it ends in major, but then that last chord was a cool, compelling chord. It was compelling in that it was neither minor nor major, something different. So that's an interesting solution, right? Like the obvious thing would be to end on minor or to end on major. So a really, really great arrangement. And so again, I'm not sure where that classic intro, where it came from. Was that Monk? Was that Dizzy? This ending, I've heard Dizzy take credit for sort of the classic ending, but was that Miles from this session? The interlude and that sort of implied double time. I'm fairly certain that comes from this group and this recording session. The recording session took place in 1955 or 56, but the album was released in 57. A very good year for jazz and Chevrolets, too. 1957 Chev, good-looking car. Wow. There's so much going on behind the scenes in the arrangement of the song. So just that, those mechanical pieces, what goes where, who created them, those were arranged, those were figured out ahead of time. Then there's the interpretation, which is like arranging on the spot or deciding. In this moment, am I going to play the melody? Am I going to embellish the melody? Am I going to solo? So there's that, right? Then there's all the accompaniment decisions of, shifting gears into more energetic, less energetic, the different feel things. So there was so much going on, plenty of which was, again, arranged and decided. These guys talked about it. There may have been pieces of paper on the music stand. But at the end of the day, jazz is about that interpretation. And so that interesting idea that this Monk song is one of the few that I feel like allows more interpretation than most Monk tunes. So interesting. And, Miles was never afraid of interpreting, playing it his way, not even knowing how it went, but still inventing an iconic version. It's a great story of when Miles got signed to Columbia for this recording session. It was a couple years before. I think it was the Newport Jazz Festival, some weird jam session thing. A bunch of people were put together on stage. Miles played around midnight. The crowd went nuts, standing ovation. And all these recording contracts are, people are talking to Miles backstage. So that his performance on it. Monk was thoroughly upset because Miles didn't remotely play his tune right. Yet the audience and all the record producers want to sign Miles after that. So the story is, Monk and Miles are on their way back into New York in the car. They get in a fight. Miles has the car pull over and kicks Monk out, before they get on the ferry or something. So, oh man, the good old days. Youthful energy and all that. All right. Well, a classic Miles tune. Can't believe I haven't gotten to that one yet, but we got to it today. So I hope I'll see you at the Winter Summit, which is coming up in a handful of months. If you're watching this in real time, January 2025, we have a great time there. And all the sorts of questions that you wish you could ask right now, the conversations you'd like to get into. Yeah, let's talk about it. It'll be me. It'll be guitar master Steve Herberman. It'll be Chase Sanborn, fantastic trumpet player, professor of jazz. He's got his own really, really strong YouTube channel. He's up in Toronto, but of course he can join us for the virtual summit. So 3 fantastic faculty members for you. All right, have a great week, and maybe check this tune out yourself. Play Round Midnight. It's a beautiful, beautiful tune. See you next time.